I really wanted to start this video off strong with like a really punchy statement about how I feel, and then I realized that basically anything I say is just gonna get me sued, so yeah. Here's my experience. My work was stolen from the exhibition. Avoid at all costs. They truly do not care about the artist community. It felt exploitative. I wasn't even gonna make this video. I was just gonna let it slide until I received an email today about how a lot of other artists feel exactly how I feel, and that is just misled, and a lot of stuff has happened and I feel like I need to say something. So this is my experience of how I lost thousands doing this art fair. I hope you won't judge me too harshly for my naivety. I was just young and stupid and I just wanted to get my name out there as an artist. In this video, I want to give you the red flags to look out for so that you will never run into this problem. So just a disclaimer to start with. I'm not going to mention the fair by name. I don't have any legal counsel. I'm not very good at stuff like this and I really don't want to get sued. And this guy who runs this fair, I know he has the funds where he would absolutely like smash me in court. Like, I do not have the funds for like a legal battle. So for that reason, I'm not going to be naming them by name. If you want to work it out, I'm sure there will be someone in the comments who mentions it, or, you know, I've mentioned it on my social media. So if you want to find it, you can find it. I'll just leave it at that. Everything I say is just alleged and in my opinion. So yeah, whether you are here because you're actually considering, you know, going to an art fair and you want to know what happened, or if you just want the drama, just sit back, relax. Here's the crack. So where did this all start? I'll try and keep it brief. This time last year, I saw an Instagram ad from this fair organiser that was basically promoting this fair as this great thing for artists to sign up for. Basically, just calling for artists. It's the UK's largest art fair. Apply now for 2025. 20 years of exhibiting. Like, wow, this sounds amazing. This sounds like a dream. Maybe I should go for this to get my work out there. So I contacted the organiser, and there wasn't really a rigorous, like, process that you had to go through to get in. I think everyone just got in, which is kind of the first red flag because it shows that they don't really care about the quality and standard that is going to be at the fair. I did a quick Google before I did the deposit and I kind of saw some really great stuff on their own website, all these great testimonials. It sounded amazing and I was like, yeah, like sure, let's do it. £650 deposit, and that was that. I'm in, I've signed a contract and I'm in this fair now. Looking back, I should have gone further than just a few websites of reviews. I should have really gone to like Reddit or, you know, somewhere else where people are actually talking about their experience. So obviously I regret that, but also I think a lot of these really good reviews could possibly have been from years and years ago, because there are some really great pictures where it looks like there's a lot of people there. You know, maybe in its day this was a big thing. I don't think it is anymore. That's the background. I paid a 50% deposit up front and that was that. So let's start on the first thing that should have given me red flags, and that is just the whole business model. Most galleries take commission from the paintings that you sell, so usually it's a standard of around 50%. Some galleries also make you pay for wall space and then they also take commission. They all differ, but they pretty much all take commission. Whereas the fair that I went to, they didn't take commission. So basically this fair would just take your money for the booth, and then any painting you sell, you get to keep all of what you make. It sounds amazing, right? They use it as a selling point, you know, like it feels like you don't have to give up your money from these hard-earned sales, but this completely takes away the incentive for this fair to sell your artwork. A gallery actually has incentive to make sales because not only do they want to fulfill good artwork to their client base, because most galleries have a client base of art buyers who will often go back to them for more artwork, but also the artist, they are going to make money from them if that painting sells. They are going to make 50% of whatever they sell. That means that they are very driven to not only sell the artwork, but sell it at a good price. Now you can see why it's a problem that this fair does not take commission, because they have no incentive to sell your artwork. You have already paid up front for the booth, so I think I paid my deposit immediately. This guy was very like, give me the deposit, give me the deposit, give me the deposit. And then once he had the deposit, it was like within 6 weeks that you needed to send the rest, even though it was still like 9 months away, the fair. So I'm pretty sure I paid $1,250 for my booth, which is extortionate. Like, let's just say it as it is, especially for the service that I received. So we'll get more into like, you know, all the problems that I had. You know, even if they delivered, this is still pricey. Like, considering as well, this is a 3-day event. This is Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. 1,250. I'm pretty sure you could rent a whole wall space for that for a month. Like, that is wild looking back. But anyway, so because the fair already has all the money that they're going to get from you, why should they care about if your artwork sells? I can't say that they do, or if they don't, this is just me speculating, but I doubt that they care. Honestly, I doubt it. And maybe you think I'm being a bit harsh, saying that they won't like market it, they won't spend time trying to make sure your artwork sells. But quite honestly, the only marketing I saw for this event was a single Instagram post, which gets into one of the main problems that I and many other artists had with this event, and it is the marketing. I really don't think there was that much marketing done. This is really hard for me to speak on because obviously I am not part of their marketing team. I do not know what they did, but as someone speculating, I really don't think they marketed it that much. Well, no, they tell a lie. They did. They marketed it to artists because that is who they're getting money from. They marketed the booths to the artists. I only saw one Instagram post. One. Marketing to art buyers. That is a huge problem. So this is not the only fair that I have ever been to, and other fairs that I have paid for and been to, they don't run like this. So usually what they'll do is their main website and all of their marketing is to the buyers or the people who are attending the fair. You know, I've been to a wedding fair because I started doing wedding painting, and it's very, very much focused on the couples, you know, the people who are going to the fair. It actually was a struggle for me to even find how do I figure out how do I exhibit, because the website is not catered for people wanting to exhibit. They're catered for the engaged couples who are looking to go to a wedding fair, which is how it should be. But I feel like a lot of their business is just aimed towards the artists, of course, because that's where they're making money. You know, this is still before the fair that I'm figuring all this out, and I really started getting cold feet because this fair is in London and I'm in the north of England, so I would have to travel. Not only travel, I would have to afford 4 nights stay in London. I would need to figure out how I'm going to get 30 paintings to London. I was going to have to like hire a van. I was going to have to get insurance. Like it was a very costly thing. And knowing that there is no marketing going on, I had a horrible feeling that it was not going to be worth my time or money, which is why I decided to pull out entirely. I decided that I was not going to spend £700 going to London just to showcase my work at this event that I've already spent over £1,000 on, just to have the event hardly market. And before you say it that I didn't even go to the fair, so how am I even talking about this? I ended up receiving an email from another artist who did end up attending, saying that he spoke to over 30 artists and they were all very disappointed in the service, the marketing. Like, this is a sentiment shared by all of us. So despite me not having gone to this fair, I feel like I can still talk about it because I did at the end of the day spend £1,250. I didn't get any money back, by the way, if you're wondering. So this part I'm not super mad about because I did sign a contract. A contract is a contract. I later found out from this artist who emailed me that the only marketing that they saw was someone standing outside the event with a t-shirt on saying "I love art," ushering people into the venue. Yeah. And you might be like, oh, well, that's marketing. It's London. You're going to get people coming in off the street. Yeah, no. You need to have real qualified buyers. Your average person on the street is not really out there to be buying hundreds of pounds worth of artwork. You need a specific client. Maybe curious people who do like art would come in off the street. But is this going to be a quality customer who might actually buy from someone? Likely not. And they also mentioned that a lot of the artists only made sales from family and friends. Now, that's a huge problem, and it's not like one or two people didn't get many sales, in which case you could chalk it up to, oh, maybe the artwork wasn't very good. It was a lot of people who felt like this. So going back to this email that I was sent by this artist, they have remained anonymous, and I'm going to show the email just so you know that I'm not just fibbing and that this is a real sentiment shared by a lot of the artists. So the artist who sent me this email, basically telling me about everyone's disappointment with this fair, said that he challenged the organiser about the lack of sales that most artists had been receiving, and he replied that the packaging team had gone through a whole roll of bubble wrap. That is not a lot of bubble wrap. I go through a whole roll of bubble wrap every 6 months, and it sounds like a long time, but I am one artist and I don't sell loads of paintings. I do alright for myself, but we are talking, I think, hold on, I want to get my stats right. I think there was over 150 artists there. If every artist sold a single painting, I would imagine that'd be well over one roll of bubble wrap. So yeah, that really doesn't say much. Just so you know, this is not just me saying this. The 1-star and 5-star reviews are pretty much even on TripAdvisor, which I don't know how I didn't see this before. I don't know if these are new reviews. I don't know if it was really pushed down in Google. When I was looking, I only saw good stuff before I booked it. This was 7 hours ago, so again, from this year's fair, the vast majority of visitors were passers-by with no intention of buying anything. Next one. Another review. Do not exhibit with this organisation. My work was stolen from the exhibition and all I got was, I'm very sorry for you, mate. Not even refunding the fair fees. Artwork listed at £1,000. Their contract exempt them from anything related to your work. Ultimately, shoddy organisation, shoddy venue, shoddy display, avoid. Another person has called it abysmal. Avoid at all costs. This was the most dismal and dispiriting event. The majority of my fellow artists I spoke to were very unhappy about the art fair and very angry about the lack of proper preparation and promotion of this event. Many are talking of making claims against the owner/organiser. Holy moly, I should join this. And I've been asked to remove his name. This is why I don't want to mention his name here. I'm so worried about this getting taken down, this video, and that would be no help to anyone. One case against him is being heard on 28th October 2022, despite promising that there would be gallerists, agents and professionals attending the fair. Despite claims of amazing sales and crowds of buyers, this art fair was virtually empty much of the time. I have photographs of empty galleries and aisles. On arrival, there was no offer to help. The few young people employed to be there did what they could, but it was difficult to get any assistance. The organiser did not appear on the scene until the private view that evening. My only interchange with him was to ask for a chair to sit on. He later claimed he told me my prices were too high and that was why I did not sell. This is blatantly untrue. I had no such conversation with him and my actual prices were lower than many others. There are a few sales and those were mostly from friends of the artist. Any attempt to question the organiser about this led to evasiveness, rudeness and complete lack of action and sent us his very pleasant staff to try and quell the mounting anger. It sounds like he had a mob on his hands. I really don't blame all these artists. I would have been just as angry if I did end up attending. I mean, I am livid. We all paid a lot of money for what turned out to be shoddy stalls, paint on the floor, demands for extra money for additional lighting, and a complete lack of concern for the difficulties of his exhibitors. Oh yes, this is another thing. Despite having paid me 1,250, other people up to $2,000 for their stall, this guy had the cheek to also add additional costs to light the artwork, for lighting. I just can't. It's so money hungry. If you're gonna charge that much for a stall, you can at least light it. Do you know what I mean? And the worst part is, we can't even take this guy down. I called Trading Standards to get some legal advice, and because he has written the contract so airtight, because he knows that people are gonna be mad, there is not a single hole that I could find. I ran it through AI. AI says that it was airtight. I think what was so misleading is the reviews on his website, and this is why we can't make a claim, because everything that he says about the event, he says it through testimonials, which is actually really clever and kind of shady, because that means that any claims that have been made, they're made through the testimonials on his site, which are technically other people's words. So we can't say that he said that because it's technically just a review. A complete waste of money. Do not be tempted by his initial hard sell. Just read the restrictive contract that you are obliged to sign to realise he will not be amenable or reasonable at any point. Artists, save your hard-earned money. The next one, again 9 hours ago, disappointing experience, poor promotion and lack of serious buyers. I participated in this fair last weekend and I feel compelled to share my experience to help fellow artists make informed decisions. The issues. The event was severely misrepresented in terms of what artists could expect. I agree. Despite paying participation fees, the fair lacked the professional promotion and quality audience that was implied would attend. I absolutely agree with this. So it really seems heavily implied that this is a massive art fair and that there will be loads of buyers there, and this just isn't really how it turned out. Next part of the review is promotion problems. The marketing consisted of a single person in an Isle of Art t-shirt standing on King's Road trying to attract passers-by. This is not the serious art fair promotion that justifies the fees artists pay. Absence of serious art collectors. Organisers said there would be. He said in previous years they have had people who have been showcased in galleries because of this event, because they were scouted by these, art professionals. In my opinion, it felt exploitative. These are artists who are just trying to get their name out there, and they kind of sold this dream of, getting art buyers and being able to make sales and being able to get noticed by individuals who run galleries, and just, it's like their way into the art world. And it just was not that. After the fair, there was this email that came through from the organiser. I'm just going to pause here a sec because I was going to show you a screenshot of the email, but I've since found out that I don't think I'm allowed to do that because it was a private email. I mean, it was sent to the whole email list, but I really just don't want to chance it. So yeah, I'm just reading out a quote from the email instead. Basically saying thank you for everyone who attended, and I think, in my opinion, this might have been a little bit of damage control, because based on the other email that the artist sent me, he spoke to this organiser and said that a lot of people weren't happy. And I think that this email that the organiser sent was a little bit trying to say, yes, well, look how many people came and look how much money we spent on marketing. So a key thing that stood out to me was over £20,000 was allocated to marketing through boosting our Instagram posts to key demographics. If we go back to the Instagram for a second, because that seems like a really great thing. Like, wow, £20,000 worth of marketing. That is incredible, right? If we go to the Instagram, there aren't many posts, there aren't loads, and I have been keeping tabs on what they're posting on the stories, and it's very similar. Let's just have a quick scroll through, shall we? Calling for artists. Oh, another calling for artists. Oh, free art fair tickets. Lovely. No, call for artists. Call for artists. Another call for artists. Oh, he's calling for artists. And another call for artists. Oh, another call for artists. Oh, and another post directed for artists. Oh, and another call for artists. So in his whole Instagram, there is a single post calling for art buyers. And it's not even, it's just saying art fair free tickets. And this post has a single comment, which makes me think that it has not been boosted as much as the other ones. For example, one of them has over 2,000 likes and over 50 comments. Oh, over 130 comments. It just makes me wonder, when he says key demographics, who are these key demographics? Because I have a sneaking suspicion that it's artists, because that is where they make the money from the artists. So him saying that he spent over £20,000 allocated to marketing on Instagram, it means nothing, and it's just another way that he's trying to mislead people. Anyway, this email came with a load of other stats. I will plop it here so you can have a look for yourself, but honestly, I just think it's a load of numbers, and clearly, by what we've seen from the marketing number, in a lot of ways I feel misled already. So I think that there are ways that you can give people stats and still be misleading, as we've seen with the marketing, because clearly a lot of that marketing was towards artists, in my opinion, based on what I've seen. And also what he says in that email, it doesn't really match up to the real life experiences of the artists who actually attended. What does the contract actually say? In the contract, it mentions that artists will be expected to promote their work on their own socials, which is fair enough, you know, you would expect that, you want to drum up hype for this event, but I don't think anyone thought that our marketing would be the only marketing, because otherwise you may as well just have a solo show. You may as well just rent out a space and promote it yourself. You would probably end up spending less money and you would probably get a much better outcome, honestly. My next problem is with the organizer. This organizer is the most disorganized person I have ever met. Genuinely. I had a lot of problems with this guy in the early days. You know, this was 9-10 months ago when I'd very first signed up, and there was problems from the very beginning. That's how you know. So once you've sent the deposit, you also need to send off the paperwork. I sent it by post. It was a faff. We don't have a printer. I had to go to the library. I got it all done. I paid money to post it, and then it was just this huge thing. I thought it got lost in the post. This guy was like, we don't have it. I was like, oh gosh, that's really strange. I sent it weeks and weeks ago. And then he sent an email back like, oh no, we do have it. I was thinking, great, that's great. I really could not be bothered trying to send it again. All was fine, right? Except a few weeks later, I got another email saying, we still have not received your paperwork. Please send it in ASAP. And I emailed back saying, oh, like, I thought you confirmed last time if you did have it. No worries if you don't, I'll just send it again. And then he then comes back to me again. Oh, sorry. No, we do have it. Great. And then a few weeks later, I get another email, and they get progressively more, like, frustrated and angry. A few weeks later, I get another email saying that they need my paperwork ASAP. And I say, just refer back to the email chain. And he replies back to me, we don't keep our emails, so I can't see our email chain. And I said, we have literally had the same conversation 5 times already. Like, I don't even know. I lost count. And I had to send over the proof, the images of the emails of us basically back and forth being like, do you have my paperwork? No, oh. And I don't know why, this just really infuriated me. Like, I was getting to my wit's end already, and I hadn't even done anything yet to do with the fair. And it seems like I actually got off lightly with my interactions with this man. Yeah, he was a bit rude over emails, and he didn't even reply to some of them, but other people had outright rude and just horrible experiences. In doing my research, I found that a lot of people have real serious issues with this man's character who runs this fair. From accountability issues with this man being unable to take any criticism and decline to actually meet the artists and hear about their perspectives, to hearing about someone who he actually hired to participate at the fair, who he certainly did not interact with in the best manner. I hope these experiences have managed to paint a picture of who we're dealing with here. I had to literally do his job for him, that look, I think you've got me on an email list where you send automated, you know, emails saying you haven't sent your paperwork yet. Can you please just take me off this email list of people who have yet to send their paperwork? Thank you. And we ended it at that. And I don't even think he responded to that email, which is just rude anyway. It goes quiet after that, and I think this is probably a good thing. You know, I hadn't heard anything from him for months. I get the odd email, and I remember emailing back being like, I'm a bit confused about what all this means. I think he was referring to a previous email, and I said, I don't really know what previous email you're referring to. And then he runs through a list of, oh, have you received this email? And I was like, no. Have you received the one about this other really important thing? No. And it turns out, I think he took me off the whole email list. I was not receiving any information. And this is getting really close to the actual deadline now. Like, you need to plan this stuff in advance. And I was not receiving crucial information. If I had not asked about, like, this random email that I got, being like, I'm really confused, then I wouldn't have known. And he doesn't want to hire someone to manage his emails, which he clearly needs to, because like the disorganization was insane. So that is my experience with just the worst art fair I could imagine. Rude, disorganized owner, all in all a very disappointing experience for a lot of people. I am making this video because when I looked up about this fair on YouTube, all I saw was a few small videos of people just showcasing their artwork, and it looked cute and innocent. It looked nice enough. That's why I need to post this, because this cannot go on. It cannot.